Once upon a time, in a quaint little town nestled between rolling hills and a sparkling lake, there lived a young girl named Mira, known throughout the town, heart of gold, anxious laughter. One particular evening, as the descent, casting long shadows across the town, making her way home from school. The wind was biting and the trees were bare, their branches swaying eerily in the wind. People hurried along, coats tightly around them, a breath misting in the frigid air. In a small often passed, a man sat alone on a porch, his thin frame hunched over itself, clothes offering little protection against the biting cold. He was so absorbed in his thoughts, he hadn't even noticed the biting cold begun to creep up on him. Heart went out to the old man. No one ever stopped to help him. He couldn't bear the thought of him spending another night in the freezing cold. Without hesitation, she tugged on her mother, who was walking beside her. "Mama, look." Urgently, "Can we help him? He looks so cold." Turned her head toward the old man, her gaze filled with concern. "Of course," she replied softly, her heart with compassion. "Is there anything we can do to help?" They approached slowly, their feet touching on the frost-covered ground. As he looked up at them, Mira could see that his eyes were filled with a deep sadness, a sadness that seemed to have settled in his heart like a heavy stone. "Excuse me," her mother said gently, her voice echoing in the stillness of the evening. "I know this might be a silly question, but would you like us to bring you a blanket to keep you warm?" The old man looked up at them, his cloudy eyes filled with surprise. "Oh, I don't want to bother you," he stammered, his voice hoarse from disuse. "It's all right, really." "Nonsense," Mira's mother said, her tone brooking no argument. "We insist. It's a terrible night to be out, and you shouldn't have to spend it alone, sir." Touched by their kindness, the old man finally nodded his head, his lips curving into a grateful smile. "Thank you," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. "That would be wonderful." Mira's mother hurried home, wrapping the old man's words around her heart. When she returned, she had with her not only a blanket, but also a thermos of hot tea. Mira helped her mother spread the blanket around the old man, creating a small cocoon of warmth. And then they offered him the steaming cup of tea, its warmth radiating not only through his hands, but also into his soul. The old man wrapped himself in the blanket, his eyes shining with tears. I don't know what to say," he began, his voice trembling with emotion. "You've given me so much. All I have are these old, worn-out gloves," he said, reaching into his pocket and offering Mira a pair of woolen gloves that were as threadbare as his coat. Mira's eyes widened in surprise. "Oh, sir," she whispered, her voice filled with wonder. "You didn't have to give us anything. The fact that you're warm and have some tea is all that matters." As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, Mira and her mother stood up to leave. "Take care of yourself, sir," her mother said gently, her eyes crinkling at the corners. "And please, let this be a reminder that no act of kindness, no matter how small, goes unnoticed." With the old man wrapped in the warm blanket, sipping his tea, and Mira's woolen gloves tucked securely in her pocket, she knew that the memory of this day would stay with her forever. Word of Mira's kindness spread like wildfire through the town. People began to notice the cold and the needy among them. Soon, townsfolk were bringing food, blankets, and warm clothing to those who were less fortunate. The chilly winter day had turned into one of the warmest days in the town's history. Mira's act of kindness had melted the cold hearts of many and had reminded everyone of the true meaning of warmth and compassion. So whenever you see someone in need, remember the story of Mira and the old man in the park, for even a single kind act can have a ripple effect, spreading warmth and happiness to countless lives.